Mandeville Kelly League Week 4, Michael Kelly and a videoless Quentin Manuel. But you know what? Most of you listen to this as an audio podcast anyway, so this will work just fine. And if you really want to see me, which I doubt any of you do, I'm just going to throw up the screen share and run you through the matchups. Quentin, how are you?
Well, I'm feeling like an old person. I cannot work technology at all, but I'm here.
And that is a good thing because the champ is here.
Well, I mean, I couldn't win it last year, but look, 3-0 feels good. I'm not gonna lie, feeling pretty champion-like.
Quentin, I want to talk about the fact that your teams over the last 3 years, I want to say, have just been powerhouses. Where's this streak coming from?
Well, I think it has to do a lot with just the fact that I've evolved as a person. I mean, I've really become, a better fantasy player as time has gone on. I've kind of changed my strategy and the way that I focus in on who I'm going to draft and who I'm not going to draft. More importantly, I avoid the teams that I think are going to suck because I think that the offensive players are going to suck on that team. And for instance, this year with David Johnson, you couldn't have gotten me to draft him in the 4th round if he was going to be available in the 4th round. There's no quarterback. There's no, is not a good option. So I've kind of just changed the way that I think about drafting, thinking about teams that I think are going to succeed rather than simply players that I think are going to succeed.
That's a really, really smart thing because everybody was high on David Johnson. It wasn't until I read an expert who said similar things to you that there's no quarterback, the team's terrible, the offensive line is a joke. So why is anyone thinking that David Johnson's actually going to be good?
Yeah, I wanted to stay away from him. I wanted to stay away from, and thinking through trading back to draft Camara. I wanted to draft a player that I know is going to be high volume in the passing game. I didn't realize the Saints defense would be that bad, but their offense is going to be good, and it's kind of a bonus that their defense is that bad because Camara's getting 100 touches. So it's that that's the type of thinking that I've been engaging in the past couple of years anyway.
All right, let's play hypothetical for a second. I obviously make a trade with you so that I can jump ahead to 3 and you slide back to 4. Had I taken Kamara, who would you have gone with?
I probably would have tried to trade back even further. That was really the only guy I wanted in that top, 5 or 6.
So you didn't want Zeke.
No, I probably would have tried to trade back and draft, maybe Antonio Brown or something like that. But I wasn't. Camara was really the guy I wanted, and I would have been real frustrated if I hadn't gotten him.
Well, smart move on your part. You get some extra draft picks, and that seemed to work out swimmingly because you're 3-0 and you put up the most points in the league through the first 3 weeks.
Only by about what? Only by about 3 points, though.
Yeah, you've got me by 3 right now. So.
Yeah, and that's taking into account the fact that I blew everybody out of the water in week 1. So it's evened out more as we've moved forward.
Yeah, 3-3-0 teams. We thought we were going to have 4. Then Mike Evans just went off for Bradley.
That was unbelievable.
And pulled the upset, and the Fighting Dumpster Fires all of a sudden don't look exactly like a dumpster fire.
Yeah, that was an amazing game of football. It really worked out very, very nicely for the people who were trailing going into that Monday night game. I was a little bit scared there for a while that Hurricane Hogan was going to turn me into a depression, but it just didn't work out for him. Chris Boswell was just horrendous. But yeah, I mean, good for Brad. Managing to fight through and get a win there at the very end.
Especially with the fact that Le'Veon Bell's still holding out.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Anyone told Brad 3 weeks through you're going to be 2-1 without Le'Veon, and oh, by the way, Joe Mixon also out, I think he'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. If Le'Veon continues this holdout, now you've got Mixon out. It's going to be tough for Brad to maintain, this 2-1 start and keep moving forward. But for right now, I think he probably would have been happy with that if you'd have told him going into the season for sure.
All right, so let's roll through the teams. We've done this each of the last couple of weeks, but from your perspective, let's play a game of contender or pretender. Uh,
Great.
and we'll start at the top with you, Quentin. You can be as biased as you want. Mission accomplished. Contender or pretender?
100%
I
contender.
did not see that coming.
Yeah, I don't know. It's my surprise pick of the week. Definitely a contender. I think that this team is going to get stronger. I think that the addition of Ingram when he comes back is going to help, not hurt Camera. Certainly with his longevity right now, he's carrying a sore knee, so it'll be nice to have somebody else shoulder the load. But I feel very strongly about this team. I feel good about Mahomes, and then Carson Wentz is going to come back, and I think, give me another option there if matchups look good. So I like my team. I think I'm definitely a contender.
I will say soft contender, if only for the simple fact that I don't know if Mahomes can keep this up at this pace. He's just been astronomical through 3 weeks, most touchdown passes in league history through the first 3 games of the season with 13. He's on pace at this point, I think, for what does that make it, 70? I'm not a mathematician, but
70 sounds great. I'd take 70. I'd even take 50. But look, even if Mahomes cools off, which you got to think he probably will at some point, I like having the option of Carson Wentz. Really good performer from last year, looked decent in his first game back. So I think he's going to get stronger, and it gives me another option. So yeah, not looking for him to continue that this pace. Maybe Devonta Freeman comes back and picks up some of the slack. So I feel good about it either way. And then Josh Gordon as a flyer, that could potentially work out really nicely.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm a little worried about RB2 and wide receiver 2 for you, but let's also not forget Rob Gronkowski really hasn't done much through the first 3 games, and so you have to think that, look, if Mahomes cools off, Gronk's going to get going. So
I hope so. We'll see. This whole Patriots team is interesting. Tom Brady. Is he over the hill? Is he not? He'll probably turn it on, but got to be a little bit concerned about any of the Patriots, really.
Well, we're so vain, Quentin, that we're going to jump to my team.
Yeah, sure. Let's just do you and me.
I'm technically in second. Yeah, we're guys. Contender or pretender only applies to Quentin and me. That's it. So, taking a look at my team, what you got?
I think this is a definite contender. I look, white running back. I don't know about all that, but Christian McCaffrey's playing the game. He's really, really solid again this year. I think you got to figure that Dallas is going to start giving Zeke the ball, 40 times a game at this point because nothing else is working. So I think that as Dallas leans on Zeke, I think that's going to help you a lot. I'm not so sure. You've got Jared Goff there, 10th ranked quarterback. You got to figure that Fitzpatrick certainly will cool off at some point. If Mahomes is going to cool off, then I think certainly Fitzpatrick will. But overall, I think this is a really very solid team. I like the pickup of Sterling Shepard. I think that especially in certain matchups, that's going to be a really nice pickup for you. So great team, contender.
Yeah, Evan Ingram out for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and Sterling Shepard plays a very, very bad New Orleans secondary.
Yes,
Lattimore is going to be on Odell Beckham Jr. That means if Sterling Shepard does anything remotely close to what Calvin Ridley did last week, then that can be major points for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like Sterling Shepard. I like the pickup. I think that's going to work out nicely for you in the next few weeks at least.
A little surprised that nobody else bid on him. I thought I was going to have to fight for him, and that just didn't happen. One more 3-0 team, the Ocho 8 straight. Still can't change his team name, like ever. But
he's on.
Here we find Max 3-0.
He's on pace to win 8 straight. So, good for him. It's maybe a prophetic sort of little deal there. Look, for Max, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a toss up. He is 3-0. We did talk about he's been a little bit lucky so far this year, getting some good matchups. Of course, you'd rather be lucky than good. Where's Leonard Fournette? What's going on with that? We all expected another big season from him. That's got to be a little concerning that he hasn't turned it on yet. But you figure he's going to get his eventually. Kareem Hunt, been very unfortunate the first 2 weeks of the season. Just no touchdowns to be had. They've all been through the air to other people, but I think that's going to balance out as well. Drew Brees should have to keep throwing every game all the time. So there's some really good pieces here. Question is, we think Leonard Fournette's going to turn it on, but will he? What's the story with Chris Carson? Is he going to continue to be a big factor or not? A couple of question marks for me with this team. So I'm going to say it's in the middle there, middle of the contender pretender sort of realm.
Yeah, I love the wide receivers. I love Diggs and Tate. I think that's a powerful 1-2 punch. They're only going to get better as the season goes on. Though Tate's had some touches taken away from him by the guy they're calling Babytron, Kenny Galladay. The running back depth is incredible for Max. The issue for me is I don't know how much quality there is. You've got guys who are kind of like RB2 territory, but you don't have the powerhouse running back. Now, he would probably tell you I have both Fournette and Hunt, and that's great and all. But as you said, we don't know how healthy Leonard Fournette is, and Kareem Hunt really has not been as much of a factor as we thought he would be through the first 3 weeks, and Patrick Mahomes is to blame for that.
Yeah, I think that's going to balance out, though. Fortunately for Max, I do think some more of those, they're going to start giving the ball to Hunt more as teams start to respect the pass. So, maybe that'll work out for Max. Hopefully. We'll see.
Steven, a Monday night game away from joining us in the 3-0 echelon. Contender or pretender, Quinn?
Definitely with Todd Gurley, as I found out in the championship game, definitely a contender. If you've got Todd Gurley, you've got a shot. Look, he's capable of 40. So I like him a lot. I like this Pittsburgh running back that's not named Le'Veon Bell. He's looked really good. Makes Le'Veon look replaceable. You notice that I didn't go for Tom Brady this year. I don't trust him so much at this point. First year in a long time that I don't. But look, he's got Deshaun Jackson, who's having a phenomenal season with Fitzpatrick. He's got Matt Ryan, who probably should be starting in place of Tom Brady. I think this team, AJ Green, has been phenomenal so far. This is a definite contender for me.
Yeah, and let's not forget James White and Chris Thompson. Steven is the guy who has quality running backs, and it's 1 through 4. James White now becomes the feature back to an extent in New England because
Rex Burkhead.
Today that Rex Burkhead placed on IR, and Chris Thompson's been a revelation. If he can stay healthy despite the down week last week, Steven's got a really good shot to go far and also pull off some trades. Let's not forget Kerryon Johnson, who is quickly turning into the lead back in Detroit as LeGarrette Blount is watching that slip away. Steven's team is really good, and as you said, anybody who has Todd Gurley automatically is a contender.
Absolutely. All right, fighting dumpster fires. Whew,
what do you make of this? This has been an interesting year in a lot of ways for Bradley.
Yeah, I feel bad for him with Le'Veon Bell. You can't pass him up. I'm glad that I wasn't sitting in that spot. I probably would have tried to trade back, but you couldn't if you had that pick. Pass him up. Joe Mixon getting hurt, really unfortunate for him. He was looking like he was going to be, a huge back for him. So it's hard to succeed with your number 1 pick not playing, with one of your best running backs not playing. I'm gonna go ahead and say pretender at this point. He is 2-1, and Mike Evans, bailed him out big time. But you got. Other than the names that I mentioned, nobody there really excites me that much. I know that he likes Collins, but I'm not sold on most of this team. Just not a whole lot of quality. Certainly some mid-level depth, but I don't see the quality that's really going to propel him into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the hope was that Jimmy Graham would be the Jimmy Graham of old with an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. It just hasn't happened so far. 15th ranked tight end. Mike Evans was a heck of a pickup. And Mixon, I don't think will miss that much time. I think he's out 1 more week and then he's back in the lineup. Reports are that he's already running on the sidelines. Collins has been the disappointment, as you said. The fact that this is still a running back by committee in Baltimore, and not only is he having to share touches with Terrence West to an extent, but Buck Allen's taken a number of them too.
Right.
Collins
Yeah.
is the guy that everybody thought that would break out. I targeted him in my work league. It just, for whatever reason, Baltimore hasn't made him the feature back.
Yeah, and with the Jimmy Graham thing, that whole Green Bay offense is hard to figure out. It's better to stay away because you don't know who's going to get the points there. They might get them, but you don't know.
What are the odds that Aaron Rodgers does in fact have a torn ACL and he's just playing the entire season on it?
Well, yeah, I have no idea what the odds are on that. It was interesting that Max mentioned it. If that's the case, then you got to be really concerned for every Green Bay player because they don't got the quarterback depth to withstand that. So that'll be interesting to watch moving forward.
And Steven has every single Green Bay wide receiver. Let's just point that out. He has Cobb, he has Adams, he has Geronimo. So
yeah, he went in hard on that. So hopefully not a torn ACL if you're Steven.
A new team name, as we would expect for Caleb, can't dodge this wrench. And a new team picture because the Creed poster is now out.
Obviously.
Is your former roommate a contender or pretender?
No, he is not a contender. He is definitely a pretender. He went in on Russell Wilson. That turned out to be a terrible pick. Running backs for him have really been struggling. That's been pretty poor play from the running backs. I don't know. I feel like Caleb always winds up with Lamar Miller. I don't know how or really why, but he's got him, and he's not playing well. I was real sad when he took Thielen because I love that white wide receiver. I think that's if you can find a good white receiver, that's like a I don't know. It's like a unicorn. You can't find them, so pick them up. But Julio Jones Thielen is a good combo, but. And of course, Kelsey is elite, but other than that, I don't see this team contending.
Yeah, it's I think we keep waiting for Dalvin Cook to get the full workload, and that just hasn't happened yet. Sammy Watkins has been inconsistent at best, and look, I like Lamar Miller a lot. I think that's a solid pickup, but. He's not a guy who's going to, in the way that Gurley can win you a game by himself. Lamar Miller is just he's steady more than anything.
See, this is another case of staying away from a team. The whole Houston Texans offense for me I was nervous about them coming into the season, and then Watkins still hasn't looked. Deshaun Watkins still hasn't looked. Watson, excuse me, still hasn't looked. Back up to speed, so maybe he'll turn it all the way around, get fully healthy, whatever it is. But that's a case of staying away from a team for me.
Speaking of Deshaun Watson, he is the quarterback on Andy's team, and we find an 0-3 Andy. Contender or pretender? This is
this is an interesting one. I gotta say he's a contender. I mean, it's super surprising for him to be sitting at 0-3 with the team that he has. I think that Andy's got really nice pieces. Certainly, Michael Thomas is having a world-class year, and so I like him a lot. I'm happy with Andy's team. I think he should be really proud of his team in spite of their 0-3 records. So for me, it's a contender. Mark Ingram's going to come back. That's only going to help. He can put David Johnson on the bench, and he should feel pretty good about it. So yeah, I like this team a lot.
David Johnson is the one that scares me. We talked about this at the top of the podcast. I just don't see him putting up RB1 numbers. And Jordan Howard, look, we thought Chicago was going to be the team that kind of turned it around this year. They have been phenomenally good defensively.
Unbelievable.
But Mitch Trubisky is still the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, and that hurts Jordan Howard as a result.
Yeah, people talking about someone who should fake an injury. David Johnson should fake an injury. He ought to fake an injury and try and get off of that team as fast as he can.
My concern with Andy's team is as you said, we don't know about Houston. We just can't seem to figure them out. And I love his wide receivers. I really do. When Fuller and Watson play together, the numbers speak for themselves. But Thomas and Landry are fantastic. He's got to get some running backs. If I'm Andy, I use Landry or Fuller as trade bait and go get a running back who actually can contribute to his team.
Yeah, look, I think Jordan Howard's going to continue to get opportunities with that Chicago defense. I think he's going to continue to get opportunities to get a lot of touches and potentially a lot of points. And then, like I said, I think Ingram coming back will make that team really feel more complete. It would be nice if he had a third running back that would contribute on a weekly basis, but I think he's going to be okay. I think he's a contender.
Stat of the week comes from Caleb. Only one team that started 0-3 made the playoffs out of 14 instances, giving it a 7% hit rate. So it's a must-win for Andy this week. He has to take it home.
Yeah, that's the facts don't lie. That's a good stat, Caleb. Keep it up. Maybe your future is as a statistician and not as a fantasy football player.
4 0-3 teams, the second of the 0-3 teams. There's Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Torn, partially torn, not torn at all. Who knows? But this is another team that I think is better than the record shows.
Yeah, I think, Carlos Hyde obviously has been really a huge surprise this season, and really pleasant surprise. He's got to feel good about that pick. DeAndre Hopkins should be scoring a ton of points. Again, we'll see if the Houston offense can get really clicking here moving forward. This is an interesting team. I'm going to put this one kind of,
toss up.
Yeah, but the thing about this team is you look at the bench and there's just nothing there really. So he's got to stay healthy. And he's got to get a little more production in the wide receiver area, and then could be a good team. So let's call it a toss-up.
And look, you see Tyler Lockett, 16th ranked wide receiver. That's not going to stay the case forever, because Doug Baldwin potentially could play this week after missing the first 3 weeks of the year. Doug Baldwin, a bona fide wide receiver one. I'm certainly thrilled about the prospect of getting him back. I thought I'd have to wait another couple weeks. Tyler Lockett will continue what he's done. And so, as you said, Josh's team top heavy, and that becomes an issue.
Yeah, if he stays healthy, it's a good team, but we'll see. We'll see.
The two newbies round out our top 10, and Quentin, rude awakening.
Yeah, welcome to the league, guys. We're happy to have you.
We were not nice to them this year.
Happy to have you. Look, we're kind of dissing on him, but look, Ben almost beat me, so I'm just going to be glad that I got that W, and we'll just move on. I have a couple of uprights to thank for that. Chris Boswell, just pinging them off the uprights for me. This team is a pretender. I think Saquon Barkley has been a revelation. He's excellent. Other than that, what is there? Odell Beckham is going to draw double teams every week, and so I don't know where the points are going to come from. Honestly, this is a pretender for me.
Yeah, I mean, Cam's on a bye. I've been trying to get Cam from Ben, just knowing that he needs help at other positions, and right now he's not willing to trade Cam. A little more parity at the position than I think people understand or give the quarterback position credit for. But look, Ben's mistake started in the third round, and he drafted Derrick Henry, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly not what you need from a third round pick. So, better luck next year, guys. Definitely a pretender for me.
We're saying this in the week 4. Poor Logan. I think he just got flustered in the third round and thought that one running back would fall. As a result, he had to reach and take LaShawn McCoy, who you can look at the stats. He ranks 59th among running backs. 11 points for the entire year.
This is a pretender, very obviously. I don't think there's much discussion that needs to go on here, even with Antonio Brown.
The number 1 ranked kicker, Robbie Gould.
Well, look, okay, my kicker has an injury, so yeah, okay, Robbie Gould, number one for right now, not for long. But look, Antonio Brown not having an Antonio Brown like year, and that any shot that Logan has is kind of out the window with that being the case. So without hope for a 30 or 40 point week from Antonio Brown, this is a pretender all the way.
So before we get into the matchups this week, and we'll roll through them, we'll go through them pretty quickly. I want to look at the quarterback position because obviously we can't say enough good things about the fact that you drafted Patrick Mahomes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I was hoping to have an opportunity to speak more about that.
Go ahead. Here's your platform. Enjoy it.
Look, folks, here's the deal. With Patrick Mahomes, my wife is a Texas Tech graduate, so I had been watching him in college. I saw all of the things that people drooled about with old what's his face Manziel, with none of the drawbacks. I mean, this is a kid that's mobile. He's got a cannon. He makes good decisions. All the things that Manziel didn't do, with his decision making on and off the field. He got lucky and got bailed out by Mr. Bailout himself, Mike Evans, in college a lot. But Mahomes, was able to spread the ball around, read defenses, make really good decisions, and he's one of the ones that has made the jump from that Texas Tech system into the NFL successfully. And so, I saw a lot in him that I liked. Look, to be fair, I didn't expect him to average 30 points a game over the first 3 weeks, but I did expect him to be a starting quarterback, a top 10 quarterback. So I feel vindicated right now.
As well, you should. He was your second quarterback, right? You drafted Wentz first.
Yeah, I think so. I know I drafted Mahomes in 10th round. I can't.
You got Wentz in the 8th or 9th.
Yeah, so I picked him up, there, and honestly, I thought other people were going to be eyeing him. That's why I jumped in the 10th. I didn't think he'd come back around to me, but with everybody laughing at me, I thought, well, we'll see. And he's done really, really well. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
For what it's worth, I was going to take him in round 11. So.
Okay, fair enough. So you stood by and let everybody rail on me when in actuality I picked him at the right moment. So, okay, fair enough.
You just had to let that happen.
That's your prerogative. That's fine.
But the bigger point here, Quentin, is the fact that if you look at the first three quarterbacks off the board, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, the average points between those three through the first 3 weeks, 17 per game. That's good enough. If you look at the stats for QB 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look,
are we overvaluing quarterbacks?
I think probably. For me, past couple of years, I have gone for Tom Brady in round number 4, round number 5, things like that. It's all about context. I mean, you got things going on in New England that are very un-New England-like. I mean, I know somebody did a write-up about how they've started slow previously, but look, I mean, that's going to run its course pretty soon here. You got Aaron Rodgers, he's been hampered by injuries. It seems like a lot of the last couple of seasons. So the names that we associate with great quarterback play, I think, are not sustaining that great quarterback play. Whereas you do have opportunities to pick up guys who are gonna score a lot of points. For instance, Drew Brees. I mean, he has been remarkably consistent where we see a drop off from other people. So I think probably we're overvaluing quarterbacks. I think maybe in my mind, quarterback play is more dependent on the matchup than some of your other positions, perhaps. But so I think you can always go out and find somebody on the waiver wire who's going to score you 16, 18 points. So yeah, probably we are. But I think everybody's hoping, to pick up a Drew Brees or a Mahomes from this season, somebody who can score you 30, 35 on a couple of weeks at least.
Quentin, it's like you knew where my mind was going, because I have played the waiver wire at quarterback through the first 3 weeks, and I've played it well. I've been fortunate. I went Andy Dalton week 1, I went Roethlisberger week 2, and I went Fitzpatrick week 3. You have those numbers. I've essentially had a QB4 quarterback through the first 3 weeks of the year.
Exactly. And who did you draft at quarterback?
Mariota and Garoppolo.
Okay, so for you, the point definitely stands that you don't need a draft, you don't need a hit on your drafted quarterback. But if you draft a quarterback in round 4 or 5, you sure as shit better hit on it, because otherwise it's just a completely wasted pick. I mean, you gotta look at running back depth, you gotta look at wide receivers instead of an essentially replaceable position.
5 of the top 10 quarterbacks through 3 weeks went undrafted.
Ooh. So Fitzpatrick, who else? Rivers, Cousins?
Ryan, Roethlisberger, Rivers, Goff.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, the waiver wires for quarterback, I think is a smarter option, at least some of the time. Matchups, I think, play a big part for quarterback.
All right, let's take a look at the matchups. Let's run through them pretty quickly. I'm taking on Bradley this week. I believe the line is just under 12. That could go down a little bit, though, because I'm considering, and this is a little crazy.
Okay.
Eli Manning against the Saints and doing the stack with Sterling Shepard.
Okay, so you're remembering the what was it, the 14 touchdown game or whatever. You're thinking maybe a repeat of that this season.
Just anything that the Saints defense, anything they touch, it's awful.
The Saints defense is horrible. I think that would actually be a decent play. Yeah, and look, again, we just talked about quarterback play being perhaps more dependent on matchup than others. You've got Ryan Fitzpatrick playing against the Bears defense of the 1980s, and then you've got the option to play anybody, a dumpster fire against the Saints defense. Yeah, I don't see that as being a problem. So look, I think that the line doesn't lie with this game. I think that Brad's best player is playing against the best defense around right now in Mike Evans. So I think this one is probably going to go Scott's Todd's way.
And we also don't know who's starting at quarterback for Tampa Bay right now. And if they do go with Jameis Winston, I almost feel like that puts Mike Evans at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzpatrick is wearing him like a blanket, a security blanket. So I think that might hurt him, to make that switch. That's going to be interesting to watch moving forward, just from a purely human standpoint, seeing how they navigate that quarterback situation. But yeah, I think this one is Scott's Tots.
It is week 4, and I'm already saying that it is a must for Andy and Logan. Andy,
yeah, well,
it looks like 6.
It's interesting that Logan's got such a high prediction with a team like that. I agree. I think that Andy's got to get a win. Get that monkey off his back, and I think really he ought to. This should be an easy one for him. I don't even you don't even really need to go much into the matchups, but I think that this one's going to be Andy. I think Michael Thomas is going to have a career year, and I think it's only going to keep going here against New York. I think you are going to wind up with a lot of points in that game. So him alone probably will cancel out 3 of Logan's players. I think this one's going to be Andy.
Interesting. I will say Keenan Allen due for a big game against San Francisco. With Thurman out for a couple of weeks. Off of the last 2.
I do love Keenan Allen. He's a fun player to watch, but I think that one Andy should win that one comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. I think more than anything, if Logan has a chance, Allen has to perform and has to perform really, really well. Quentin, you got an 0-3 team, but again, as we've talked about before, not really a true 0-3 team as you take on Josh. And this matchup, super close. In fact, it is the closest of all the games this week.
This is not the 0-3 team that I want, but it's probably the 0-3 team that I deserve. Josh has got a great team. I can't come out here and say that I think that I'm going to lose. I think that I'm going to win this game, but I'm not happy about the matchup. I'm very surprised with Carlos Hyde this year. I mean, he looks young, he looks fresh on a Cleveland team of all places, a Cleveland team that has won a game of all places. And so, I think Melvin Gordon, Carlos Hyde is a great combo. But I'm going to say I'm going to win because if I don't think I'm going to win, then why am I going to play the game? So let's go with mission accomplished on that one.
Mission accomplished. Favored by 2.5. Over under.
Ooh, I'm going to go over. I think it's going to be about a 6-point game.
There you go. This one's fun. Two Tulane guys, Max and Caleb going at it. Caleb predicted to win by 5, and boy, Max has been talking a lot of shit. Does the streak fight? Does the Ocho not make it here?
Look, you got two.
We're just gonna call it a race.
you got two managers here who love to run their mouths, which makes for an awfully fun matchup. Not only that, but they both have decent teams. Look, I really do believe that we're going to see the pendulum swing a little bit more towards Kareem Hunt. I gotta figure that Leonard Fournette, he's played so little to start out this season. Maybe he's going to get his touches here against the New York Jets, and then with Minnesota playing the Rams, probably Diggs is going to get a lot of opportunities to score some points. Same goes for
both cornerbacks out for the Rams for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, same goes for Thielen. Obviously, he's going to get his opportunities. But if Caleb sticks with Russell Wilson, that's not a sure thing, like it has been in the past. And then I don't know, maybe Travis Kelce has a big game. I actually think Max is going to win this one, though. I think that Kareem Hunt is the player to have on that Kansas City offense in this matchup against Denver. I think he's going to do really well.
Interesting. I'm going to go Caleb with the – is it an upset? Technically, according to ESPN.
Yeah. I mean, he's favored to win, but he's one win less than Max. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up, really, honestly.
Yeah, this one's going to be close. I'm going to give the edge to Caleb, and I don't know why. I just have a feeling Doug Baldwin's going to play this week. Russell Wilson's going to have his boy back, and I'm going to say Caleb squeaks it out.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens.
2 of the 3 youngest members in the league going at it. Steven, brothers. What's the I don't know. We're late into this podcast.
Brothers Karamazov? Is that where you're going with that?
Something like that. Steven against Ben, 2-1 against 0-3. And Steven, almost a 10-point projected winner in this one.
Look, if you want to start talking about Russian literature, we can invite your sister on the pod as a special contributor, and that would help us through this murky waters because I can't really go there. But look, this one, this one I think that I don't know if I'm going chalk going with all the lines. No, I picked Max, but I think Steven's going to win this one. I think that Ben Ben had his shot last week and he blew it. I do like Saquon Barkley against that New Orleans defense. Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe he scores a touchdown or 2. It's really going to depend on if he can get a couple of touchdowns out of guys like Demaryius Thomas. Maybe Brandon Cooks gets one. But I think with Todd Gurley playing. I'm not going to bet against Todd Gurley. I think Tom Brady and the Patriots, if they're ever going to start clicking, they need to do it by week 4. And so I think, perhaps they've been playing vanilla. Maybe he gets some wide receiver help this week. If so, I think that will certainly help. And I think he might have potential for a big game here. So I'm going to go with Todd Gurley. I'm going to go with Pursuit of Happiness. I'm going to go with Steven.
I'm going to take Steven in a very close one. I think this is almost a trap game for Steven. As you said, the fact that Saquon and Odell get to play New Orleans could make things very, very interesting, and it's a game that Steven's going to have to watch closely. Quentin, that was a lot of fun. Next time we'll be able to see your lovely face. And if we're looking at the picture, down in the corner. Is the beard that long, or we've trimmed it up a little bit? Have we not?
Yeah, I'm working. I'm working for the man right now, so the beard's a little bit shorter than that. But yeah, that's a throwback to the good old days.
Was that a requirement when you started the new job?
No, it wasn't. It was more of a impress the boss sort of thing. But I'm going to sneak it back in over the course of the next year here, I think.
Very smart. They just won't notice. We'll be like, oh man, how'd that happen?
Yeah, it's going to sneak up on them. Look, it's just so damn hot here in Houston. I gotta be honest. I didn't realize it was going to be so hot down here. So that certainly doesn't help things. But once I get acclimated, I'll start sneaking it back in.
Well, Quentin, this was a lot of fun. Let's do it again soon. If you and I keep winning, nobody else is going to want to do it. So we're just going to have to carry the load.
We'll just do this for our benefit like we always do. Sounds good.
Who watched the podcast? Michael and Quentin.
That's
After
right.
They did it themselves? Correct.
That's right.
Quentin, best of luck to you this week. Best of luck to everyone. We'll see you next week.